I have tried so hard, fought for so long, but in the end, I must bid you all farewell once again. But before I go, I would like us all to remember the sacrifices that brought us here, to this strange new world. This time, it is with the help of our lovely muse that we shall be guided. We let them rise. We let it happen. We waited far too long. We thought we shouldn't intervene. We were wrong. We were wrong. Since the beginning we were hidden. We held court from up above. 'Twas the golden age of reason, and I the queen of love. But a plague of hate was spreading, and there were vultures standing by. Before we fell to our knees begging, we fell from the sky. We let them rise, we let it happen. We waited far too long. We thought we shouldn't intervene. We were wrong. We were wrong. We sought shelter from the shadows, but were soon ripped from the dark. Those mortal souls that ended us were jealous from the start. They hunted me for power to fuel their psychopathic cause. And once they fell before me and worshipped all I was, they chased me down and threw me in a cage, held me prisoner for so long. I thought I'd win their hearts again. I was wrong. I was wrong. Oh, the power of the idols pounds within your chest. But for now I am in mourning for a love gone unexpressed. He was harder than the chisel. I was a horrid block of ice. A winter's chill that stayed until he made his sacrifice. The man that I ignored saved me when I fell. Yes, the husband I abhorred rescued me from hell. I thought it was a joke when it was said to me. He struck a deal with our enemy's enemy, made a secret weapon so my captors let me go. He gave up his freedom, leaving just a memory, and this love I'll never know is what he gave to me.
I can't believe what I'm hearing today. If your story stops there, I've nothing to say. I can't imagine. I feel like a child who grew up too fast. The goddess of love can't get past the past. What good is a flame when everything's ash?
until
you know.
there's no sweet release, it's ongoing.
You know, you know.
Everyone's here to bid me farewell. Can you imagine?
I can imagine
This really happened. I can't forgive, the river's too deep. Its reflection won't lie, so just let me sleep. I can't let go of what could have been.
lost in a moment, lost in a song, lost in a moment, lost in a song, lost in a moment.
Mother, I've stood by your side, now I no longer see the purpose of love when it tears at the center of me. My arrows are rusty, forget the bow, and I won't be begging you not to go. But when you're away, you leave us a broken home. And you leave me alone, lost in a moment, lost in a song, lost in a moment, lost in a song,
Lost in a moment. There's fire in you yet. Aphrodite returns, she'll never forget.
Finally, we'll be free.
Lost in a moment, lost in a song. Lost in a moment, lost in a song.
Lost in a moment. Lost in a moment. Lost in a moment.
Mother, is it true? You've chosen to...
Live. I have chosen to live. I'm so sorry, Venus. I made you so many promises, dearest, and I won't be able to keep them.
My lady, all I ever wanted was for you to be happy. If this is your wish, I'll be with you at every step.
I as well. Always.
I hope none of us regret this choice in the days to come. But thank you.
I really hope I didn't make things worse for you. If I did...
If you did, it's not your fault, Grace. I know how the Muse's power works. Somewhere within me, I wanted this. I knew it wasn't working.
At least now there's a chance it could get better.
Now then, Grace. You needed my help. No doubt regarding Calliope's death? Have you any suspicions as to who might be responsible?
For starters, it has to be one of the idols.
Oh? What makes you think that?
It had to be someone who knew Calliope and wanted her gone, with enough knowledge and power to fool the chorus. They didn't plan for Calliope to get away. I was an accident. They covered up everything else so well.
That's very clever. You may be right.
You're thinking of Medusa, aren't you?
I haven't met anyone by that name. Is that an idol?
Not an idol, per se, but she is immortal. She came over with us from the old world.
She works for Athena as a watcher. She's everywhere, lurking in the shadows. If you look anywhere, Grace, start with her.
Come now, Mother. It's time you rested. It's been a long night.
If I don't, I suppose you'll both gang up on me again. Very well.
So, did they have anything helpful?
Maybe. What do you know about Medusa?
Medusa? That's a rather dark name to unearth. Are you thinking of seeking her out?
I have to. How else will I find out what she knows?
You need to be careful, Grace. Medusa is not to be toyed with. Athena employs her as a spy master, a hound to do her bidding, a vicious hound at that. Athena's not likely to tell either of us where to find Medusa. I can't say for certain who would know. Are you all right, Grace? You seem troubled.
What Aphrodite went through, it's a lot.
Yeah, that's the funny thing about the life of an immortal. It never ends.
Wow. Way to really sell it, Apollo.
I assume you'll be on your way then?
Yeah, I should probably check in.
Give my regards to Persephone when you see her.
Apollo. Always so dramatic. And well done, by the way. You may be the very first person ever to talk sense into Aphrodite.
Why didn't you tell me what it was really all about?
The party? Or the veil lifting, and Calliope's memories eventually returning?
Yeah, either.
It's not something you can prepare for. I thought this was the best way. I remember the last time I passed on my Eidolon. 1952. I was married to, well, I'd say you'd call him a gangster. More of a thug. A mean, vicious little thug. Persephone saved me from him. Tore his head clean off. But not before he fired a shotgun into her chest. My chest? Whatever.
Why are you telling me this?
We all have our sordid history, our personal horrors, building up like sediment around our souls. You can't let it bury you, Grace. You are the only one who can keep your head afloat.
Okay, yeah. Good to know. Thanks.
At any rate, you have a name. Medusa. Hadn't occurred to me, honestly. She was always Athena's creature. I'd never pegged her as potentially disobedient. I'll see if I can track down her whereabouts. In the meantime, Grace, do be careful. Hey, so what's the news, Miss Muse?
Miss Muse.
Well, does a muse have a proper form of address? I just want to hear what exciting adventures you've been having.
Well, I, stopped the goddess of love from killing herself, I guess?
Whoa. Do gods have interventions? You know, they're nothing like I thought they would be. Everything else okay, though? Do we know who the killer is yet?
Not just yet, no.
Okay, well, let me know if there's anything I can do. If I have to hustle to become your high priestess, well, so be it.
What are Kaz and Brian up to? You didn't tell them anything, did you?
No, I told them you came home, that you're okay, but that you're having a moment. They send their love.
Should we tell them, do you think?
What for? They have their own problems. Plus, Brian can't keep a secret to save his life, and Kaz is officially homeless.
Is he still crashing on Brian's couch?
Grace, you do know that Brian doesn't have a couch, right? Just some giant beanbag things?
Then where is Kaz
Yeah, it's cute. They'll tell us when they're ready. But right now, it's best just to not mix them up in this.
I should really apologize about the band. This kind of puts a dent in your plans, doesn't it?
You're right, Grace. How dare you sabotage my dreams? I am so mad I could spit.
You know what I mean. Nobody could have seen this coming, sure, but it's always been something with me.
Well, as I see it, there are two ways this goes down. One, neither of us gets back to the band. It was just a thing we did for a while before I founded a cult in your name. Or two, we get back to it and the band now has the Muse as its lead singer. Edge of Elysium becomes the coolest and most appropriate band name ever.
Ugh, I still really hate that name.
Look, Grace, you can't be the source of all the drama and name the band, okay? That's the rule.
You know what I find weird? That the idols have managed to remain completely secret all these years. Sure, they have magic and whatnot, but in all this time, nobody's found them out? Athena is that good?
Who says nobody has found them out? The way I see it, it's like UFOs.
Okay, I have to hear this.
Okay, so you could have real evidence that UFOs exist and that governments have covered it up and people still wouldn't believe it. Why? Because they'd get laughed at if they admitted it. Imagine the headline, Greek gods exist and are living among us. What website would even run that?
Weird conspiracy ones. Yeah, you're right. Exactly how much do you know about the Greek gods, Freddy?
I know my Greek mythology, but what I've read clearly doesn't line up with who they are today. Or who they ever were, maybe.
Still might be useful. There's gotta be some truth to those stories, right?
Maybe? Who do you want to hear about?
Do you know anything about the Muses? Or Calliope in particular?
Yeah, for starters, there were supposed to be 9, though I guess there are some sources that said there were only 4, maybe 3. Each of the muses had her specialty. Did you know that Calliope is supposed to be the muse of epic poetry? She inspired the Odyssey.
Wow, I don't even like poetry.
Yeah, it was said her singing voice was unmatched. So they got that part right, at least.
Did she also lead the ancient Greeks in giant choreographed dance numbers?
No, but she once turned a bunch of snobby princesses into magpies, so there's that.
What about Athena? Is she really supposed to be the goddess of wisdom?
Sure, but mostly that's meant as tactical knowledge. Athena wasn't all sweetness and light. She was a warrior goddess. She was also the goddess of heroes. There are loads of stories where Athena helps guys like Odysseus or Jason or Perseus.
No female heroes back in those days?
Yeah, guess not. Women were the weaker sex, which maybe is why Athena was portrayed as being vindictive.
She cursed Medusa, one of her own priestesses. She turned people into spiders, struck them blind, started the Trojan War. It's the whole thing.
Not being as wise as advertised is on brand for her, then. What about Apollo?
Okay, so the prophecy stuff checks out. Apollo was god of the sun and light, but also kind of enlightenment in general. He's always talked about as this beautiful and cultured god involved with the arts and the muses, kind of a Renaissance man before the Renaissance.
He's clearly had a rough time since those days.
Well, he was also a giant horn dog, Grace. I can list off like a dozen men and women Apollo has had as lovers, and there's probably more.
Weren't they all like that, though?
I mean, Apollo's no Zeus. He never assaulted anyone as a swan. And no, they aren't all like that. Our sun god had a reputation.
Tell me what you know about Persephone.
Honestly, she's the least like her stories. Usually, she's either a victim or just the wife of Hades, or both.
And that's it? She was kidnapped by Hades, end of story?
Pretty much. Her mother was so angry she created winter. But otherwise, Persephone was just your average sweet and virginal fertility goddess.
You're right, that doesn't sound like her at all.
Must be hard to be defined by this one thing that happened to you thousands of years ago. I'd be pissed if everyone thought my story ended there.
Well, she is pretty pissed. That much is true. You said Pan was some kind of lust god, right?
Yeah, kind of. Pan's a god of the wild, and I guess that translates into sort of lustfulness and earthiness, humping nymphs in the forest sort of thing.
And you don't like him?
Honestly, he's exactly what I'd expect him to be. All the stories say he's a lech and a beast. The Christians equated him with the devil. Weirdly, he's also the only god who's supposed to have died, though it's never really clear how or why. Anyhow, there's a great statue depicting Pan having sex with a goat. Next time you see him, you gotta ask him about it.
Just how many of these gods are there? From what I've heard, lots of idols live around here.
Well, there are tons of minor gods in Greek mythology, hundreds even, depending on how you define them. Oddly, there's never any mention of the word idols in relation to them. Maybe it's like how people worshipped idols?
I sort of assumed it was related to the eidolon.
Which is a Greek word, but I think it means ghost. An image of someone after they die.
Makes sense.
Me? I'm more amazed at all the big names missing. Not just Zeus and Hades, most of the Olympians seem to be gone. Makes you think about what's been lost. But also, what might still be out there.
You think there might be other gods out there?
Well, there are all those gods the idols say wandered off. We don't know they're dead for sure, right? They could be living it up in Australia. Who would know? Then there are all the other mythologies, hundreds of cultures, each with their own pantheon. So what's so special about the Greeks? That only their gods are real, right? All those other pantheons could be living in secrecy, just like the idols. And that means they're hidden from each other, too. Oh, they could be everywhere and no one would know.
It's like a whole other secret side to the world.
Yeah, it's cool, right? I hope I get to meet Ganesha one day. Or maybe Lakshmi?
I wonder how much of those stories are true.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I'm giving you the quick version. There are reams of textbooks out there covering all this, but even they rarely agree with each other.
Really? Nothing definitive?
Ancient Greece was 3,000 years ago, Grace. Not much information survived all that time, if it was even valid to begin with.
Okay, that's enough questions for now.
You sure? I can talk all day. You know I can.
I'll check back with you soon, Freddy. Time for more mystery solving.